begin with the second half of the questions. So the very first question, do you see an intersection of time and space in the story? Children, first write down the answer, then I'll explain. There is the clear intersection of time and space in the story. The year 1894 is seen at the Grand Central of the modern era. Sam lives in the locality of 1894 while his friend Charlie is still in a modern locality of the modern times. When we talk about an intersection, children, intersection of time and space. So, if I'm talking about intersection of time and space, we can say that the narrator is transported in time to the world of 1890s, and he has described, children, if you have read the story or you have listened to the summary, I have explained you that the people, he had described the people of 1890s that they were wearing green eye shades, and they were wearing long sleeve protectors. The dim and flickering light, wood and brass were in use, and he had described the dress of the people that they were of typical, it was typical of the era: lapels, beards, sideburns, and fancy mustaches. And the women, they wore typical Victorian costumes. People use gold watches which they pulled out of their pockets. So we can see an intersection of both time and space in the story. He ducks into an arched doorway heading for the subway and gets lost. So after crossing the angling the slanting corridor, he reaches an open space. And that open space he described as third level. So it is an intersection of time and space. Now, next question. Apparent illogicality sometimes turns out to be a futuristic projection. There is no doubt that apparently there seems no logic in Charlie's having seen the third level at the Grand Central and meeting there people belonging to a bygone era. Again, it seems even more illogical for Sam to have shifted in a locality of 1894. However, science has created many wonders. So if somehow people are able to travel into the past one day, I shouldn't be surprised. There is a distinct possibility of something like that happening in future. The great scientist wrote many decades back. There are the few lines which he wrote a few decades back. Children, actually in this question you have to write down that logic is not the sole yardstick to guide. I've already explained you this thing, that logic is not the sole yardstick to motivate and inspire human thoughts. Logic helps in thinking about something or explaining the reasons. There are certain thoughts. Children, there are certain thoughts or actions or feelings which do not seem to be sensible. It is not that they are thought in a logical way. So the obvious illogicality of certain thoughts might appear strange. That the dreams do not follow any logical pattern, but they do hold a projection about the future. So who would have thought that 200 years ago that man would fly in space or sail under the water? So science has made it possible now. Na? In the near future, man would disappear, like Mr. India maybe. So these are, we cannot say, children, that logic is the whole soul. In this story, we can say illogicality sometimes turns out to be a futuristic projection. Now next, philately helps keep the past alive. Discuss other ways in which this is done. What do you think of the human tendency to constantly move between the past, present and the future? Children, philately means the habit of collecting stamps. It keeps the past alive because while looking at the old stamps, one is likely to lose oneself in the past. This is done so in many other ways also. The old pictures of people are available and they keep the old memories alive. The history books do so. Even more, for the common man, the same thing is done by old movies. It is human tendency to love the past. It is so because most of us recollect the pleasant memories of our past lives. In the present, we face all kinds of situations. In most cases, people are so burdened with action that they find nothing very beautiful in the present. The same present looks attractive when it becomes the past. The thought of future makes the life worth living, and so we keep on dreaming on a bright future. The truth is that future is nothing but the continually of the past modified in the form of present. Children, in this question, actually, we can say that a stamp, though small in size, has an important piece. It is an important piece of history around it. Nations all over the world issue new stamps to commemorate important events or the developments. So, thus a study of stamps helps to keep the past alive. Coin collecting, ornament collecting, pottery, painting collection, they are some other ways also. Man is never satisfied with what he has or he can achieve. He constantly moves between the past, the present and the future. So the dissatisfaction of man with his present and his yearning is he earns, YEARNING, earning to make it better or to achieve the ideal, inspire him to strive more. So past shows us the mirror and we try to do better than the great achiever of the ages gone by. Future beckons us with promises. Now, next question. You have read Adventure by Jayant Nalkar in Hornbill, class 11. Compare the interweaving of fantasy and reality in the two stories. In Adventure, now he has given the story of the adventure that first of all you will write down fantasy and reality is no doubt woven in both the stories. There is, however, a clear difference. Jayant tries to convince his reader that his fantasy is possible. Jack moves no such attempt. Nalikar, a chief character, does not move either into the past or future, but he moves into the another world of the present. Nalikar tells us that it is possible giving scientific theories. The only similarity is that, like the professor in Nalikar's story, Charlie also returns back to his modern world. Actually, children in adventure, Jayant, Professor Gangadhar Pant, or Glanton made a transition from one world to another and back again. So by doing so, he was able to experience two worlds, although one at a time. So one has a history we know, the other a different history or a fantasy. The separation of the two worlds took place in the Battle of Panipat. So fantasy and reality are interwoven. Children in third level in the story, in this chapter, the third level, Galesburg, Illinois, is a region full of romantic charm, peace, song and music, and a relaxed life. So the narrator's granddad used to live there in 1890s, and Charlie, the narrator, frantically searches the third level to go there. He searches the third level to go there. The hectic life of New York, with its insecurity, fear, war, worry, is the reality. So, transition to the idyllic surroundings of Galesburg is a fantasy, an escape from reality. Now, next question. Do you think the title, the third level, is appropriate? Give reasons for your answer. Just listen, I'll send the picture again in case if you're not able to see. Okay. The title, the third level, is quite apt and suggestive. It at once focuses our attention on, the main issue. The existence of the third level, Charlie, the narrator has strong belief in its existence. Whereas most persons, including his friends, his wife, and a psychiatrist friend, consider it only an attempt to escape from harsh reality. So, children, it is a sort of waking dream wish fulfillment. Even his habit of stamp collecting is seen as a temporary refuge from reality. Charlie's arguments are quite logical. Everybody wants to escape, but they don't wander down into any third level at Grand Central Station. Moreover, his grandfather had started collecting stamps in a nice and peaceful era. He did not need any refuge from reality. He did not need refuge from reality. The middle portion of the story recounts Charlie's curious experience about objects and persons on the third level and his subsequent unsuccessful attempts to find it. The ending of the story also centers around the third level. Sam Vanier, the psychiatrist, has found the third level and reaches Galesburg. He writes a letter to Charlie from there, describing the merrymaking in the carefree and peaceful atmosphere of 1894. He advises Charlie to keep looking till he finds the third level. He assures him that the search is worth the labor. Thus, the title holds together all the incidents as a string holds all the pearls of a necklace. It is quite appropriate title. So this is your assignment, children.